Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics Overtime. Alderwoman, thank you so much for sticking around and joining us after the show.
Thanks for having me.
So this is the topic when I was trying to think of someone to talk to about this. You come to my mind because I think you'd be a person that could give, we live in a time of change. Our culture's looking at some things differently than we ever did. People are telling stories they normally wouldn't have told.
Correct.
You're someone that has lived in the Jeff City world, around the state capitol in that environment, the Board of Aldermen, and now Board of Alderwomen. And you've also been somebody that's been around the business community. When people now are watching this, let's maybe just take a guy that is looking at these things, and for the first time, even though he may have a sister, mother, wife,
Right.
daughter, but he's looking at some things differently. What's a piece of advice you'd give to him that he could sit and think about in order to be part of this evolution, not get run over by it?
One, I think it's incredibly, I hope people realize it's incredibly brave of women to come forward. You're usually cast as a drama queen, or people don't want to continue to keep you employed, or they shy away from you when you come forward with something like this. So one, I hope men will recognize that. Two, I hope they will, and you and I talked about this because you saw firsthand something with me not too long ago, but I hope people will realize that could be their daughter, that's their wife, mom. And I also hope realize people that this sort of war on women is not manufactured. It actually exists, and we've been dealing with it for a long time. So it's all the way from sexual harassment and sexual assault down to birth control. We feel like we are constantly, every day we get up and we sort of face this assault on us. That may not be the right word, but we face that every day.
So let's take it back to something. There's been issues in the Capitol where people have spoke out, told stories. You assume there's people that haven't.
Absolutely.
Tell me what a person could do if they're watching this, if they're in the Capitol and they feel uncomfortable by something and they're a subordinate of somebody else. What could you advise them to do?
I think that you cannot no longer be complicit. And I think you have to have a conversation with someone, whether it's reporting it or talking to the person in power, or also talking to the victim of it. You may not be a mandatory reporter, but I think now people will feel like they have to take some sort of action, or at least talk to the perpetrator and say, hey, this is not okay.
Do you think that sometimes people don't say this is not okay, and that might be the best move, is to tell the person so they don't do it again, right?
I think so. I think a lot of times just being out there and speaking out, whether it's against the sexism or racism, that is huge. When you just talk to people and give them a chance to understand what they're doing is wrong.
Honestly, you're a person that is on the forefront of a lot of those issues you mentioned: birth control, sexual harassment, policies and laws. How closely tied are some of those policies to some of the things we're seeing now? Are they getting new life because of those policies? How close is the public debate to people's lives and some of the things that people are speaking out on the Me Too stuff?
I think that it is, it's empowering women, and I think women who maybe weren't on the forefront before are finding themselves on the forefront, whether or not they want to be. And I think this eventually will bring more women to positions of power, and I think that it's bringing women more at the forefront of media, and I think that we will start to see a more pro-woman agenda, and I think we'll also hopefully see more empathy from husbands, brothers, fathers, and understanding our place, especially in the workplace.
There's a movement now that's really come to the forefront to have women seek out and be on some of these state boards and commissions, see women run for office. You're somebody that's obviously not only figured that out, but been successful at it. What would you give an advice to somebody watching this? Obviously, they have some political interest, or they wouldn't be watching this. How do you get involved? And I'm sure maybe there are institutional barriers. Who do you contact or reach out and try to overcome those?
One, just jump in and just do it. It's really, I'm not gonna lie, I have a baby, it's tough. I have a husband who travels, it's really difficult, but it's empowering as a woman, and I think it's important. I think my voice is so important, and I would say just get out there and do it, anything for your kids. But there's so many people you can reach out to on a national level. There's Emily's List, there's Molly's List, there are some nonpartisan groups here in Missouri. There's so many great women out there on both sides of the aisle that are really great mentors I enjoy working with, and they would be happy to help any woman run for office.
Someone watching this, are you somebody? I mean, you're on
Absolutely,
social media you can reach out to. There's a Tracy McCreary, I would think, Mindy Mazer. Does that happen? Do women reach out to you and say, hey, I'm interested in getting involved? And is that a support system?
Yes, and I will meet someone as fast as possible. I will introduce them to my friends. We will always take time out to help anyone we can. I have a friend running for Creve Coeur City Council now, a mom of 3. I could not be more excited, and I'll spend all the time I can canvassing for her.
It's an easier to jump in when you have that support system. And I think that support system exists, but you have to connect to it, right? You just have to
Correct.
make that cold call to do that.
Yes, and I also will encourage spouses to be incredibly supportive as well, because it takes that. It takes your whole family being supportive, and I think it's a great benefit to a family because you bring in, your family's experience and your background, and you make it relevant.
Last question. I think there are people that have perpetuated some of these issues that aren't really. They don't know it at the time. They don't know the effect it has. How do you use this as a moment to really change things going forward? To people that might have told a joke that made other people feel uncomfortable and they didn't think about it. How do you? I mean, there's times where society can grow and evolve. This seems like a time that society can grow and evolve. What advice would you give to people to try to actually change their behavior going forward to maybe help accelerate that evolution?
Well, I think they have to open up, talk to a colleague, especially in the Missouri Capitol, talk to a female colleague. We could,
So you're saying men should proactively have those conversations and try to learn from them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I also think it's all about, men stepping up to the plate too, even if it's in a private room and there are no women saying, hey, that's not okay. That would make someone feel uncomfortable. And that could, I wouldn't want you to say that about my daughter or my wife.
Yeah. I really want to thank you for sticking around for overtime and have this conversation.
It's very important. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you joining us this week at Missouri Politics Overtime, and we will see you after the first of the year. Thanks again.